Hello, I'm Stephen Walker, author of Lemp, The Haunting History, and today I'm at St. Louis's historic Lemp Mansion, one of the Midwest's most haunted places. And in today's episode of Lemp Lessons, I'm going to examine some of the mansion's most haunted happenings. In the most glorious days of its long history, St. Louis's Lemp Mansion was the seat of power of one of America's earliest and most influential brewing dynasties. Today, on a quiet night in the elegant home, you can almost feel the shocking reverberations of the self-inflicted gunshots that ended the lives of three members of the Lemp family and changed the course of American brewing history forever. The first to end his life within the walls of the family mansion was William J. Lemp in February of 1904. His death was attributed to the shock and lingering depression resulting from the death of his son Frederick in 1901. His death from a gunshot to the head happened in his second-floor bedroom. In December 1922, William J. Lemp Jr., commonly referred to as Billy, ended his life with a gunshot to the heart. It's commonly believed that his death was brought about by the depression and anxiety brought on by the onset of Prohibition. The last Lemp to die by suicide would be Charles, another son of William Lemp Sr. Charles' death in May of 1949 was the result of a gunshot to the head. At the time of his death, Charles was 77 years old and had been suffering from a number of health issues. After Charles' passing, the mansion was turned into a boarding house, shared at one time by as many as 18 tenants. In 1975, Richard Pointer and his family purchased the former residence with the intent of renovating it and converting it into a restaurant. Soon afterward, through a series of unexplainable events, the Pointers quickly realized that this was no ordinary house. A wide range of odd occurrences have been reported in the mansion, including candles that light or go out on their own, doors that randomly lock or unlock, a piano that occasionally plays without the assistance of a human touch. They've all left a lasting impression on the restaurant staff and patrons who witnessed them. One of those who experienced the Lemp's legendary spell was artist Claude Breckwold, who was hired to restore the mansion's elaborate and beautiful hand-painted ceilings.
I was working in the house, and it was late, 11, 12 at night, and I had the feeling that somebody was looking at me through the beautiful glass that had a beveled edge, but it was obscured. It's called, I think it's horse glue glass, that the glue dries and cracks the glass away, so it's kind of obscured. So there was a little bevel around the edge, and I felt somebody was looking through that bevel at me. So at some point I thought, oh no, I hope there's not a burglar in this house. So anyway, I got off my scaffolding, shouted out, is anybody here? Nobody answered, nobody was there. Went back to painting, thought, well, I'm a grown guy. It's nothing, I'm just gonna ignore it. I then got that feeling again. I was like, wow, this is weird. So anyway, I basically got off my scaffolding, and I kind of almost had goosebumps on my body, because I was like, wow, this could be a burglar or something really odd, you know. So the only place to get out of this restaurant or this mansion was through the basement, which was how all the employees came in and out. So I go down the spiral staircase. The basement is pitch black. There are no lights, nothing. And I couldn't even see my way around. It was like being in a photographer's darkroom. I come back up the stairs and I'm like, wow, I better get out of this house. There's something like just creeping me to pieces, you know? And I ran out across the street where the owners lived. And I said, look, I'm done with that house tonight. There's something really bad going on, and there's something creepy. And anyway, they came across the street, they locked up the house, I went home, and that was my experience in this house.
One of the earliest accounts of a haunting presence in the old house comes from a letter written to the Pointers shortly after they opened the mansion restaurant. The letter writer, who resided in the mansion when it was a boarding house, described seeing a man in the basement of the home dressed in a dark suit. He vividly recalled that the man was wearing very shiny black shoes. As he looked on, the image of the man slowly disappeared from his view. Many of the restaurant staff have learned to take the mansion's ghostly events in stride, as though they're just another part of the job. Here's a recent example.
I am Kevin Donaldson. I work at the Lemp Mansion. I've been here for approximately 5.5 months. I've had quite a few experiences in that time. I was sitting in the bar. It was well after closing. I had locked the doors. There was nobody else in here except for the manager, who was up in the office. I was sitting at the bar. I ushered everybody out, locked the doors, turned out the lights. I'm sitting at the bar. He's upstairs in the office, and I hear the bathroom door open and close. So I look down the hallway, and I see a man walk out of the bathroom and into the dining room. And I thought, oh, did I leave someone in the house? So I went around on the other side to check into the dining room. Nobody there. I searched the entire floor looking for, this person that is not a physical being in this house. At the time, I had thought that it was the manager, and he came down the stairs. And I said, were you in the bathroom? And he said, no. And I said, oh. And then I thought about it, and I said, well, that would be ridiculous for me to think that that was him, because the man that I saw walking out of the bathroom had light brown hair. The manager doesn't have any hair. So it was slightly unnerving. I said, well, I think it's time to leave. And we hightailed it out here. I was sitting in the bar again, a Thursday afternoon. Nobody is here except for the kitchen staff downstairs, the owner upstairs in the office. And I was wiping silverware, and I heard what sounded like glass exploding behind me. It sounded like if a tornado hits a house and the wind blows the window out, that force, that it's loud, and that's a distinct force, wind shattering glass right behind me. Well, I turned around and there's nothing there. I searched the bar. There was no glass. I went into the parlor. I went all over the house looking for shattered glass. There's nothing shattered. There was nothing. I went downstairs to the kitchen. Did you guys drop something? Did you, No. So I went upstairs, begrudgingly up into the office, encountered the owner and said, did you drop glass? She looked at me very oddly and said, no, I did not drop any glass. Why? Did you hear glass break? And I said, yes, I did hear glass break. And she says, well, we're a little bit haunted.
As a result of its haunting reputation, the Lemp Mansion has gained a legendary status in the St. Louis region and beyond. As a result, it's been the subject of a number of psychic investigations. The first was conducted by the late Phil Goodwilling and Gordon Honer, who billed themselves as haunt hunters. Haunt hunters made multiple visits to the Lemp Mansion, where they conducted seances and experiments with writing planchettes, which work like a Ouija board but produce written answers to questions. According to their report, Goodwilling and Honer found evidence that there was indeed an unseen entity in the house, which identified itself as Charles Lemp. When asked why he took his own life, the mysterious written reply consisted of 3 words: help, death, and rest. Goodwilling surmised that the sudden violent deaths which occurred in the mansion could have left a permanent psychic imprint on the property. A recent visitor to the mansion seems to have had her own dramatic encounter with some of that same lingering energy.
Dr. Allie X. I'm a tarot reader over at the Fortune Teller Bar, and I actually just moved to St. Louis last year, early in the spring, and made my first visit to the Lemp Mansion around probably July of last year. And I didn't initially join a tour. I just went in on my own, thinking it would be a leisurely walk around the 2nd floor. But as soon as I got up there, it was pretty cold. I thought that was weird. But within 2 minutes of being up there, I hear a loud psst right in my ear. And it sounded like it was really there, but there was nobody upstairs with me. I was all alone. And after that, there was just a thought that ran through my head that said he killed himself right there, and I felt an inclination towards the table in the master room. that's on the second floor, right near the head of the table. And mind you, I hadn't been on a tour yet. I hadn't looked at the website. I hadn't done any reading about the Lemp Mansion. So I had no context for this. I just knew that people had killed themselves there. So I decided I was spooked. I wanted to get out of there. And I came back for a tour about a month later, I'd say. And on the tour, I learned that that was exactly one of the places where the head of the household had killed themselves. And when I was up there that time for the tour, again, I had an experience with a woman. And I think it was the same woman who had told me that someone had killed himself in that room at the head of the table. But she was asking me to channel her, but I can't channel spirits, so I told her no. However, I thought it was interesting because we'd just done our tour of the upstairs, and they'd been talking about a feud between one of the women who lived there and her husband, so I thought maybe she had some sort of message. I just didn't think I was the one to deliver it.